What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode 51 of Scotty Says. I'm your host, and I tell you what, the NFL rules sports. All right, now, it's March Madness, and the NFL is taking over. In just the past week, the old GOAT has returned. And that was curious, that whole little deal, wasn't it? But we're not going to even go into that right now. And then NFL free agency got underway. And I had to bring you a new episode. NFL off-season sizzling storylines. And I tell you what now, the whole week it's just been storyline after storyline, and they're on fire. But tonight, I got a little bit consumed by the whole situation when I learned that one of my favorite Rams players has been dealt away, traded. Bobby Trees, gone. Sayonara. Deuces, my dude. Sent packing, and the Rams sent him away for a song, for a ham sandwich, for $1.50. I mean, it was like they gave him away. And this is a glue guy, see? And so it was a touching thing to me to see him go. I just put it like that. And I feel like they made a mistake. And I've said this before. I've come on the mic, and I'm a Rams fan, but I'll criticize them, damn it, where I see appropriate. And you know this. And I've done this. And I'm going to do it right now. I think they made a mistake. See, this whole willing and dealing thing, you can get carried away and consumed. And let me preface all of the next comments by saying maybe there's more brewing that's just on the other side that I don't know or see. And so I give Les, the wheeler dealer, the riverboat gambler, I give him the benefit of the doubt to the extent that maybe there's something else, another shoe to drop. But, and this reminds me of the Von Miller situation. We're going to talk about that. But to let Robert Woods go, the Rams traded him for a sixth round draft pick in the 2023 draft. Traded one of your core glue guys to the Tennessee Titans. So the Tennessee Titans get a top shelf receiver, quality player for a sixth round pick. And by all accounts, it just appears to be a salary dump. But see, here's the problem. Your salary dumping core guys, glue guys, integral key pieces. And it's a bad look. Now, I understand you got to free up cap space, but see, earlier today, Doc Julio got the extension. 4 years. What they give Doc? 4 years, $160 million. 4 years, $160 million for Pulte. And so, is the price of paying Matthew Stafford giving away Robert Woods? I don't like it. I don't like that kind of business doing. So, my visions of the Rams, in 2022 going 4 wide with Soup and Bobby Trees on one side and OBJ and A-Rob on the other. Worrying the hell, stressing the devil out of opposing coordinators and defenses. That's up in smoke. And now I wonder, what are the repercussions yet to come for OBJ? Sticky fingers. Because just recently now, OBJ released what has been called a cryptic tweet, where he's like, oh, as if I didn't already have motivation now, I promise on my son, I'm going to make you proud, watch and see. And I imagine OBJ probably is stewing now. He's stewing because he was about to blow the lid off the bowl and his knee blew out on him. And all the dollars in the NFL, they're throwing dollars around like candy. Millions, they're throwing millies around like they're dollars. Millie for you, 17 milli, 35 milli, 46 milli. Wow. But hell, Bobby Trees was only going to cost you 10 milli. That's fairly inexpensive by, today's standards. You paid. And welcome Allen Robinson. That's the big fish the Rams got. And by all accounts now, he's a big-time baller. So welcome to the Ramily. Okay? But Allen Robinson got $46.5 million. Right? 30 million of which guaranteed. And that was what, a 3-year deal. So that's a lot of money. And then 10 mil for one of your main men, Bobby Trees, and you can't find it. And you're going for a ham Sammy. Now see, I wonder if there is more to it, though. Because now, I'm going to speculate now. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm speculating. But do you remember when, go back if you don't and check, because I had made videos about it back. This is October, I'm going to say, in that time frame, October 21. And the Rams are winning. They got off to a, 3-1 start. But there were rumblings in the wide receiver room. Deshaun Jackson was not happy, remember? And Deshaun Jackson, not very long thereafter, beginning of November, he was gone. Waived. They couldn't find a trade partner, they waived him. And the Raiders picked him up. Meanwhile, before that, Bobby Trees also took a meeting. And if I recall, this was in regards to the imbalance in the offense. And because even at that time, Soup was getting all the targets from Matty from the D. They were bonded already, and they were, like they say, they were hanging out and having breakfast and, on the weekend, and the wives and everything. So Bobby Trees and Deshaun, I guess they felt a little bit of a way, and they had meetings with McGenius. And I wonder if at that time something got planted with McGenius and Bobby Trees. And then, as fate would have it, the football gods, Bobby Trees has his non-contact freak injury in practice the day after OBJ is signed in free agency. Wow. Sayonara, Bobby Trees. Wishing you well, bro. So that put a little bit of a damper on it, but I'm gonna try and soldier on and still bring it to you. All right. So now, the NFL's got the best game in the world. Now I know, the world loves the football, international football, go. I know. And it is. It's kind of has a majesty to it, and it's pastoral, and it put me to sleep though. I could watch paint dry. Sometimes I don't mind a good game of football, but you can't compare that with football, okay? Nor any of the other games. And listen, I grew up, baseball is my first love, all right? And they've done plenty to wedge that apart. And I don't like the universal DH, and I'm going to stand by that, okay? That's another topic for another video. But the NFL's got the best game in the world. Now, as you know, they're filthy behind the scenes. I'm not going to go into that right now. But not only do they command the attention during the season when the games are going, but even in the off season, they are mesmerizing. It's fascinating to watch. And so this week was very much in that vein. So let's get right to it now. Okay. Speaking of the aforementioned Space Cowboy, Mr. Von Miller, he got the ball rolling, said deuces to L.A., bolted to Buffalo, $120 million, 6 years, 52 guaranteed. And that's the thing that I started to notice, how the guaranteed money's go. Because, NFL not for long. And you give somebody 6 years, $120 million, and that knee blow out in the second season, or even in the first, all that money is that's all just conceptual. But now it's starting to be guaranteed. And so, Von Miller, Space Cowboy, broke out. Deuces. Bolted to Buffalo. And if my prediction holds true, the Rams will see him again in the Super Bowl. Yeehaw, Space Cowboy. It was interesting to me how Von Miller flirts. He flirts. He plays the game. Okay? He was flirting with Denver, but I think Denver was like, nah, dude, we cut you really because we're good. And once he got that, I think it jolted him, and he was like, oh, well then, cool. And he flirted with the Rams, and the Rams really wanted to bring him back. They were trying to give him money. They say, word on the street is, if Von Miller would have signed with the Rams, they wouldn't have been able to afford Allen Robinson. Which then means they would have never cut Bobby Trees? Funny how that works, isn't it? Them dominoes. So, Von Miller flirted with Dallas. Oh, Jerry, them damn Cowboys. He flirted down there. I'm from down there, And then out of nowhere, he ends up with Buffalo. And then in the press conference, when they welcomed him to Buffalo, he's like, yeah, I felt like I broke the Rams' heart, like I jilted them like a girlfriend who didn't do me wrong, but I left her anyway for another girl. I'm like, look at the Space Cowboy. Von Miller will be balling in the Buffalo. As predicted here, Modi is done. And I told you episodes ago when this whole Von Miller thing first went down, it's a very strong likelihood that the Rams traded away Kenny Young, got Von Miller as a rental for a half a season, and then he bolts, and there you are. And that's exactly what happened. But despite all of that, he was still worth it. Space Cowboy was worth it. Space Cowboy was balling out, and they really wanted him to stay. Space Cowboy said, I got to have the loot, though, all of it. All right? Modi is done. We pretty much knew that was coming. So hell of a career, Modi. He'll be, Hall of Fame, probably first ballot. Talked about Stafford, Pote, Matty from the D, Doc, got his change at the expense of, well, who's to say? But Matthew Stafford signed through 2026 with LA. Now, 80-99. I wonder what's really going down with him, because Von Miller specifically mentioned AD-99 when he referenced leaving the Rams and how bad he felt after conversations he had with McGenius in AD-99. And I noticed that it seemed as though AD-99 was tying his own return to Space Cowboy Von Miller. And I'm like, why is AD-99 tying his career to what Von Miller does or doesn't do? Von Miller about to chase that loot. So I hope the beast, AD-99, has his head in the right place. And I'm imagining the Rams are definitely going to put some dollars together to make sure his head stays in the right place. But the Rams did lose several players. Now, they lost on the offensive line. They lost Corbett. They also lost on the defensive side, Sebastian Joseph Day. They lost Darius Williams as well. They released Johnny Hecker. But they did sign Noteboom. And Noteboom is going to, ostensibly, he's going to be your left tackle now moving forward. And he did play well in relief of Modi when he was called upon. They also re-signed their center, Brian Allen. And again, see, they're throwing millies around. Brian Allen, 3 years, 24 milli. Noteboom, 3 years, 45 milli. We talked about Stafford, 160 milli, 35 guaranteed. So that's how they roll in the NFL. I'm glad to say that the Rams re-signed Brandon Powell, signed him to a 1-year deal. So he is now going to get in the milli game as well. And so I just hope that OBJ will remain a Ram and that he's going to be okay and get back to form. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But, it's a stay tuned situation because you just don't know at this point. Now, that brings me to what was considered the big fish, the big haul. Deshaun Watson. And see, the experts all kept saying that it was down to New Orleans or Atlanta. That's it. Because he's from the South in New Orleans or Atlanta. And why would he want to play in the cold? And then he went to Cleveland. And so that Faker Baker is outie. He'll bounce around and end up somewhere. But Deshaun Watson is going to the Cleveland Dog-Pound Browns. The AFC is just stacked. There's an arms race over there in the AFC. And I think the KC dominance period is over. And I don't know if they'll win another one. But, I predicted Buffalo. But look at what has happened over there. And the AFC West in particular, now, the arms race over there is crazy. And so you saw all of that action and activity over there. Russell Wilson heading over there. Now in Denver, you got, of course, we talked about Buffalo. Not only did they pick up Von Miller, but they also picked up their tight end moving forward, O.J. Howard. They got Saffold, who I like, former Ram, to help anchor the line. But out in the West, the Raiders snatched away Devontae from the pack. Okay? So, old COVID toe, I think you can write him off. Because you know how the experts like bird brain, they want to just, kind of repetitive. They just pick out of instinct. You could forget about Green Bay and COVID toe. And he might have a great regular season. But the the story has been pretty much put out now, and we can kind of see what's what with old COVID toe. And Devontae said, yeah, let me out. And so now he's out there in the West with Denver, out there in the West now with the Chargers, who got Khalil Mack now and brought in J.C. Jack. And then don't forget now, you still got to deal with them old KC and my homeboy in them. So the AFC West, man, loaded. KC, the only one seemed quiet in free agency, right? So I'm very much excited to see how things play out in the AFC now. But back in the NFC, where things are a little more closer to home and more pertinent to me. The old GOAT is back. That's fine. Shouldn't have never left. I think it was some chicanery, some flammery involved in that whole move, and it backfired on the old GOAT, apparently. We'll talk about that another time. But San Francisco seems weaker. They're going to have to deal with their quarterback situation. Seattle definitely weaker. We don't know how things are going to ultimately play out, but right now, that's what that appears. The Cardinals seem like they took a step back. And so I feel good about the Rams in the NFC West. And then the other teams in the NFC, none of which seem to have done a whole lot to improve. Them damn Cowboys were fraudulent to begin with, and they've taken steps backward. So I like the Rams' chances in the NFC. On that Deshaun Watson contract in Cleveland, $230 million, damn near $250 million, fully 100% guaranteed. That's a landscape-changing, epic contract for the NFL. Nearly $250 million, fully guaranteed. Congratulations, Deshaun Watson. Now it's time for him to ball out. So you got Cleveland now all in trying to make the big. See, they saw what Cincinnati did. Their cross-state rival. They saw Cincinnati in the bowl with Burrow. And they said, no, we can't stand it no more. We got to have a real quarterback. We can't live with the faker no longer. And they said, what will it take? And we see what it took. And not to mention that fully guaranteed $230 million, but they had to give up some draft picks. Now, I think it was 3 1s or 2 and a 3, something like that. But listen, now it's time for Deshaun Watkins to ball out and pay that off. And so I expect after a year off, I expect this dude is going to be clowning in Cleveland. Okay? So in that same division, now you got Burrow and the Super Bowl losing Cincinnati Bengals, who I could easily see coming in 3rd or 4th in the division. And then you got Cleveland with a lot to try to prove. And that's just one division. And then you look over at the AFC West, and that again is who we play, the Rams, in 2022. So you got KC, Denver. You got the Chargers and them Raiders. The Raiders, okay, who snatched away from COVID dope. And I like it. So, listen, we play them all. The Rams play Buffalo. They play KC. They play Denver. The Rams play Dallas. They play the Raiders. They play the Chargers. They play Green Bay and COVID toe. They play Tampa Bay and the old GOAT who was trying to pull some flammery and get up out of Tampa. But it didn't work. It backfired on the old ghost, so he'll be back. But see, next year, he'll be free to walk, and then he's going to go and try and play somewhere else. I do believe. And so, you see the millies flying all around every which way, but they couldn't find 10 for Bobby Trees. It makes me wonder, was there something at that meeting that caused a rift? We may never know, or we may just find out one of these days. In the meanwhile, welcome to L.A. Allen Robinson. So we're hoping that that signing will really pay dividends, especially since it's going to apparently break the camaraderie in the room in terms of, the love and brotherhood that supposedly existed there. So time will tell. Will the LA Rams be able to assemble a collection of individuals who can defend their Super Bowl championship and make my prediction come true of a repeat? OBJ, will he end up happy and healthy in LA, or is he also moving on? Will the Rams be able to shore up the losses they've sustained on the defensive side of the ball? And is Lester Willer Diller Sneed, the Riverboat Gambler, is he done? Is there another shoe to drop? Well, no, won't be a sturdy replacement for Modi. Will the offensive line holes be patched up? Will OBJ return to the fold? Will AD99 return and be ready to roll? And will McGenius be able to run it back? These and many other questions will be answered as we move along the journey. But in the meanwhile, throw me one of these. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about all this business. And until the next time, my folks, one love.